The wait is almost over. SpaceX is about to release its first earnings report as a public company. That happening any moment now. Want to bring back Doug Flynn, founding partner of Flynn Zito Capital Management. Doug, I was talking to John Nigerian yesterday about these earnings coming out again any moment now, and he was saying he thinks he's going to hear Musk and management really talking about, the vision 5 years from now, about what space is going to be doing then. That may be what they want to talk about, but is that what investors want to see when this earnings report drops?
No, they're going to want to see something. And I think it's really a test for Wall Street with the IPOs and the whole AI connection to everything, because that's part of this as well. Of course, SpaceX has many different things, mostly Starlink, but it does have AI in there as well. And investors are looking to see if the earnings are going to start to come through. Yes, the long term is great, but they want to start seeing something for all this investment that they've been making. And the real issue, I think, is after the earnings report, there's a lockup expiration, which means that a lot of the shareholders that have not been able to sell will be able to start selling. And so what can happen is that can put some downward pressure on the stock, even if the earnings are very good. So you have to be very careful with that as people are able to now sell that stock that have not yet been able to do that.
Let me ask you this. To your point there a moment ago, SpaceX shares, those have fallen pretty sharply since their public debut. And it's not uncommon after a company IPOs to see a little bit of a dip. It's kind of a normal phenomenon. That being said, what does the company need to show in this earnings report specifically to win back investors?
I think it has to be at least something relatively decent as far as what the expectations were. I think they very likely could have a larger loss than they had before they were public. So I think you kind of have to give them a little bit of room there. But I think that's where it then shifts to the outlook. And what is the outlook going to be? He may want to talk about 5 years from now. The problem with being a public company, as you know, is that quarterly earnings are what rules. And so they're going to want to know what's coming the next quarter and the quarter after that, not, 40 quarters from now.
Yeah, with almost every company, it not only matters the earnings report you talk about today or this past quarter, but that future forecast. What runway do you have? That's going to be important here. Let's shift gears a little bit. The White House is sitting down with some of the biggest AI companies today, talking about voluntary safety tests. And it's interesting because some of these companies have actually said that might be a good thing. They want some more government interaction as they continue to develop artificial intelligence. How significant is this meeting today, and really could it shape the future of AI regulations, for a lot of these companies and this space more broadly?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely see that AI with the opportunity there is enormous, but so are the risks. And you're seeing that there were some cyber attacks that come from this. And, the problem with this is that, of course, you can program it to do things as far as, programming and other things by itself. And so then that can also be used to exploit weaknesses and vulnerabilities in certain programs. And that's really where the issue is here. And I think that's why the White House is right to have some involvement. Of course, you have to limit how much involvement, because then you don't want to lose the AI race with speed. But you've got to balance that. And so, the thing is, AI just touches everything, and it's transforming our economy in so many ways. It's not just the chips and the cloud, but it's finance, it's healthcare, it's pretty much everything. And so there are tentacles in there that go way deep. And so we have to be very careful and walk the line. I think that's what this is more about, is the cybersecurity and the national security risk that comes along with this.
Do you think then these voluntary safety tests are enough to prevent major cyber attacks, especially as you look at these recent reports where AI is going beyond its protocol, outside of what its programmers put in place? And that has always been a really scary scenario. To hit that this soon in the race is something that's concerning people.
I think we all have a right to be very concerned, and we don't know at some point, are we going to be able to turn such things off? And that's probably the biggest problem, is if this self-learning takes off and way beyond our control, at what point is it beyond our ability to turn it off? I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question. I don't know if what the White House is doing here is going to make that much of a difference, but it's the conversation. It's trying to get everybody to work together here to figure this out, and we do need to figure this out because the opportunity is just tremendous from a productivity standpoint, from a life standpoint, from an investment standpoint.
It's certainly important to be having this conversation, and having this conversation as right now Markets are closing and Wall Street is wrapping up another banner day.
Absolutely.
All
We'll
right.
take it.
Of course. All right. That right
All-time
there.
highs.
All-time highs for the Dow and the S&P 500.